Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of The Get Up Girl. I am Joanna Vargas, and I am extremely excited to talk to one of my really good friends, Maria Concha. Maria is on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. We're both in the United States, and we met during the pandemic last year. And Maria, you are a mindset and manifestation coach. So I really want to tap in today about how to create your life, how to give yourself grace, knowing when you're in different seasons in your life. So thank you so much for taking the time today. And how are you?
Thank you so much for having me, Joe. This is the first time we're jamming out on here, right?
Yeah, we've done the Instagram show, but not the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I'm good. Anytime people ask me that question, I think of like there's two ways that can go, where it's like you tell the truth, but like the truth could be very raw and real, right? For the season you're in, or you just say, I'm good. And then if people ask for more, we're the inquiry, then we give more. I always find that question really interesting. And so I think right now I'm really in like this very raw place of just being. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
girl,
just being. A lot of changes.
Leaning in all of it.
Yeah.
As we record this is the halftime of 2021. I think of it like, we were talking about this last night, Maria. It's like we're at the Super Bowl. We're in one of the football teams and it's neck and neck, right? It's an even score and it's halftime. And you're like, oh my gosh, I still have another half to play and I'm exhausted and, whatever. And the crowd is going wild and you're like, here we go. That's how I feel. Where are you right now in the half point of this year?
Oh my gosh, half point. Yeah, half point. I feel like I feel like maybe the way that I would have expected to feel during a pandemic last year, but it didn't. I was like in fight or flight, or not fight or no. I wouldn't say fight or flight. No, I felt really good last year. I was excited. I was really inspired. My creative juices were going. But like this first half of the year, I think that a lot of certain things didn't pan out the way that I thought they would. Like one specific thing, like my book deal that didn't go through. And that ever since that happened, that really forced me to look at my life and look at my choices, my career, and slow down a bit. And so, I think I'm at a place right now, 6 months into it, where I'm really proud of just giving myself grace to be. I know you know this, Joe, but I am hosting a retreat, co-hosting a retreat in Turks and Caicos and Mastermind. I'm really proud of that. That's like my baby right now. I'm really, really inspired by it and proud by it, like proud of it, of, something new for me. And so I'm really happy about that. But I think I'm in a season of just really going internal.
Yes.
And that affects when you go in, and I know you know this, that affects every department of your life, right? When you do that hard work like that, the inner child, the trauma, the work, it affects your business. It affects how you show up. It affects your relationships with people. It affects how you view life, and so I'm in that season of not shying away, not, because I could be okay. I've done the okay. I've done the smile. I've done the, I'm successful enough, right? I'm good. I built my brand. I'm making money. I'm chilling. The outside world thinks I'm like great, but I don't want to play like that anymore. That's not how I want to play.
Maria. So, oh my goodness. Thank you so much. The more conversations I've been having with my sisters, there's more and more of this. It's unveiling, and we're putting away the mask, all the cliches, whatever you want to call it. And even on my podcast, I've been sharing more and more stories like, you know what? I'm not okay. Exactly what you said, though, at the beginning of the pandemic and during, I was okay. I don't think I was lying. I really was. I was like, oh, I'm good. This is nice. A little break. Totally get it. All right. But at the end, it's this tail end. And I'm going deeper. And I'm wondering for myself, as I discover who I am, what I like, the truth of myself, I go deeper and deeper. And I've had these conversations with many people. They're like, the deeper I go, I don't like it. And people have told me, I'd rather be unconscious. It's easier. They're like, because this is weird. And I was listening to this other podcast, Maria, the other day, and they were talking about that we'll never like reach consciousness and then you're there. You're like, I hit it and you're done. Consciousness is a choice that you choose like all the time. Every 10 seconds, you choose it again and you choose it again and I choose it again. And I wonder when we go to events or retreats or, a yoga class, you hit that like state of euphoria, the consciousness, you're like, I feel so good. And then at least I expect to feel like that forever. And I'm like, ooh, okay, this is like, and I don't want to give it that energy, Maria, of like, it's always like so hard to go, but it's like that journey of like, okay, what do I discover now? Oh, I discovered something new. And it is uncomfortable. For you, what is that feeling of the uncomfortableness? Almost like a butterfly, the cocoon, the chrysalis, and you're coming out of it. What does that feel like for you?
I feel it in my body, and it's something I'm learning to express more within my therapy, because like therapy is like my jam. And so I'm learning to, when like I get asked the question, how do you feel? Before I would probably just say like, I'm fine. I don't know. Like, it just feels like weird. Like I would say words like weird. And so I think when I feel uncomfortable, I actually feel it in my body and I feel contracted. And it feels really scary, and it feels very real. And the thing is that how I said, like, when it's so easy to just like put a smile on and like be good, right? Because that's my go-to from when I was a kid. Right? It's not like that. It's also not genuine. It's not just organic, but it's also because I shied away so much from really showing up with my true emotions, not just for people, like with myself. I'm like literally learning how to acknowledge within myself, right? And like feel safe to speak up. Like the inner child is like there, and she's like, is it safe to feel like that? I'm like, what do we do if we don't feel good, right? And so I think I don't really have an answer fully, but what I can say is I'm learning to express how I'm actually feeling in real time, even if it doesn't feel good, right? It's okay to not feel good and like still want to accomplish stuff and still be accomplishing things. It doesn't mean that, if I'm in this like funk, because I feel like when I do the inner work, of course I don't want to, I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm so committed to my growth, right? But I'm like, it would just, like you said, it's so much easier to just stay unconscious and not go there, right? It's so much easier. It really is. It looks better to the outside world, like people love me smiling. They love me happy. It's infectious. It's like, you want to be around Maria, right? So it's like, but if I'm not like that, then, but I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing like my younger self to, my inner child. That's why I'm committed to doing this work. So I'm just I'm really I'm in the learning season.
Oh my gosh. This has been.
Are we doing the same work? Are we like seeing the same therapist?
We're like having the same parallel life, right? And everybody else out there, give us a little hand tap. Where I am right now, and as it's been a while, is the triggers that I have, Maria, are that you're too much. Like you're too emotional, you cry too much, etc. And I hear that little, like a record playing. And my new partner is like receiving all of me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like a robot, like rebooting, going, I don't know. Like, you really fully receive all of me, like even if it's ugly and I'm crying. He's like, yeah. I'm like, whoa. I've never had that. So then I'm also looking at him going, are you sure? Are you going to change your mind? Are you just saying that? So that's my stuff of going, learning how to receive love when I'm all of it, when I'm good, the bad, the brilliant, the beautiful, the ugly, the fire breathing dragon girl. And I'm like, sometimes I'm going to be a fire breathing dragon. And are you going to love me unconditionally? I was brought up like, no, just different. Like you have to be good. You have to be pretty and sit there quietly. And I wonder if it's different for the new generation, or maybe it's not. I'm very curious about that. And it's not to blame, I'm not blaming my parents or people around me. It's just like such a discovery, and I'm lifting up, oh, there's something new.
Mm-hmm.
And having these conversations, Maria, the conversation that you and I are having right now, the conversation that I have with my partner, it's like we've never had those, at least as I, for past relationships, never had those conversations. Sweep under the rug and show up with a smile until I explode.
Mm.
And then the guy's like, oh my gosh, you're too much. I'm out of here. Right. And I'm going, and then I start to believe that, am I crazy? Is every other woman just so perfect and I'm the only one that's like actually has feelings or actually cries? Do women don't cry? I'm like, then that plays in my head. So with everything I said, I mean, have you discovered anything with your partner? Are you married? Are you going to get married?
So I'm not married. I've been in a partnership for a decade, and yeah, we're not married. It's not it's not really something that like, we would talk about it. Like if we ever did, it would be a really cool dope party with all our closest friends, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a party.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's a wedding, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not, I guess it just hasn't been like my dream, right? And so it's definitely affected. Well, first I want to say something that you said, like, you talked about like, am I too much? Am I, like, does anyone else cry like this? Joe, I actually have the opposite effect. I have held in so much. That it's almost like hard for me to cry. Like, I'm just gonna keep it so real. I was on the phone with my therapist, and I told him, like, I had a moment. She said, what was your moment? I'm like, I considered, do I cry? Like, I considered, like, I was like scheduling in a cry, Joe. Like, I love it. That's crazy. That's insane. And I recognize that I don't feel safe enough to cry. And, and I used to cry when I was younger, right? Every so often. And I know some of us, we do especially as women, like, if you don't cry, you're strong. I don't believe that. I don't believe that if you don't cry, you're strong. I actually think that when you're vulnerable and you do cry, I think that makes you extremely strong. I'm so inspired by people that like are crying. My cousin is a big crier. Oh my gosh. Like I got on, she's a huge crier. Like I was on a mastermind call the other day, my mastermind, and she was sitting in on it and she was crying. I hear she's like sniffling, crying. And I'm like, what is going on here? She was inspired. And I said to her, how do you do that? I literally, we joke a lot. I'm like, how do you do that? But so I think my thing is like, I just, I need to feel, I'm working on feeling safer to cry. And and the way that it's affected my partner and I is that it's actually my therapy, my growth, the growing pains has really taught me a lot about relationships, right? Because it's not like I'm just learning how to be good with me. It's I could use I do use what I learned inside therapy, how to express myself, how to feel safe, how to ask for what I desire, how to listen, right? And not assume. And so all these things I've actually applied to my relationship. And Jeff and I do therapy on and off when we want to, we pick up separate to like my therapist. It's been really, really helpful to explore and also be able to have the vocabulary to express to Jeff, what is it that I'm going through, instead of just like feeling the feels and feeling overwhelmed by all these emotions that I can't make sense out of. So it's actually been very helpful, but there have been many times, Joe, that I didn't have the vocabulary. And I do this thing where I just want to like I just want to be out. Just want to be out. And the one thing that has been very helpful is like, if there's any resistance in the relationship and it doesn't feel like good, like if like inside it feels like, whoa, this is scary, I don't like this. No, clearly we're not meant to be. We're breaking up, right? It's like, oh yeah, like that was like, I mean, and it's something It's something I still work through very much. Like it's something I've gotten so much better because out of respect for Jeff, that's not okay to be like, we're breaking up, every couple of months or whatever. That's like, I'm an adult. So that's why I'm working on this. But one thing that has been really helpful for me, and this could be just not only with your partner, it could be with anybody in any relationship, right? Your sisters, your tribe. It's what I do is if I'm in the middle of, let's say we're in a disagreement or there's some resistance in the conversation and you get that like fight or flight, like bolting feeling, I think like, okay, I clearly know how I feel about Jeff and like our relationship. So I say like, okay, Maria, go through what is it that you want in a partner? Well, I want to be supported. I want to feel loved. I want to feel safe. I want to feel happy. I want to feel cared for. And then I think, well, is that how you feel about Jeff? Is that what you get? And I'm like, absolutely, 100%. So the logic doesn't go with what's happening in the moment. And so that immediately brings me back to, whoa, there's some type of residue from a trauma or something that's making me want to bolt. And so that brings me back to the moment of like the truth, because the truth is that I do feel supported and loved and cared for and nurtured and, all these like things. And so I realized that it doesn't have anything to do with him. It has everything to do with me. I was just triggered by it. So it's actually been very helpful, even though I will say, Joe, it's not all like fun. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. No, there's like resistance and, there's disagreements, and it's not easy to like have to work through it. And like in the moment, I'm like my own coach and my own therapist. Yeah. We're responsible for ourselves, and how we show up is up to us. Right. And there's just so much that Jeff can like excuse or like, excuse. And there's just so much that, I can expect from him. Like I need to do my part. So it's been a lot of growth in my relationship as well. I would say for the better, 100%.
Mm-hmm. When you talked about crying, Maria, and I'm very curious about this and intrigued because every time I watch somebody start to cry, I'm like, here it comes. 99% of the time they'll apologize. They'll do their eye thing and they'll go, I'm sorry. And I just find it very interesting because I'm trying not to judge the heck out of it, because I went through a lot of like, let it go, Joanna. Are you willing to cry and not apologize and let it be ugly? And that was about like 15 years ago. That was my journey then. And when I opened the floodgates, damn, they opened, and I just cry all the time. And
you have the key? Can I like borrow that key?
Like, Joanna, can you receive whatever people are going to feel, think, because you're crying? And when you were talking about the crying, did you learn that from somewhere of not to cry? Because I still saw that too, but I knew that it was like killing me inside to hold it in. Where did you see that?
It's just, I think for me, it was, as a child, I watched my mom cry in situations that I just felt, looking back, I felt like she had total control over. Like, why is she going to sit there and cry and act like she doesn't have control over the situation? And I think that I was so tired of seeing that and seeing the outcome of her life and our lives and how it impacted us. And I don't know, I think that when I was younger, you get told, like I was called La Llorona, like a crier, I'm a crier. And I think that I just kind of I think I created a story in my head. Like if you, like, what's the point? I literally say this to my therapist. I'm like, what's the point of crying? Like, we got to just keep going, right? That's a story. That's just how I like literally programmed myself to say, I don't have time to cry. I got to just keep going. And so I think that for me, that's what it is. It's really interesting though, because my cousin, she loves when I cry. Oh my gosh. It's like she wants me to cry because that's how she feels connected to me, So she'll like wait for it. And it's so funny. And I want to cry for her because yeah, it's like a scene. And she just gets very happy if I ever shed one tear. And she's like, do you think there's more that can come? And I don't think it has anything to do with anyone, because I will say, you know how like they say with your partner, like you're like with Jeff, you know, I've been with him 10 years. Even with him, he hasn't seen me really, like he could probably count on two hands how many times. And I think one of them was when I experienced a really horrible situation. And even then, I don't even know if I cried. Like I never cried in public, like up to like anyone. I don't know. It's just like being vulnerable. It's something and I don't think it has to do with so much with the outside world. It really, like, I can't even cry by myself, Joe. It's not about the outside world. It's about, and don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm not like iRobot and you won't get me to cry. No, because I will cry. Watch us being personal, like, and you're like, girl, you don't got no problem crying. It's just, it's not consistent. I don't know. It depends on the person. It's just, I'm learning.
Yeah, I love it. These are great conversations because you chose like the complete opposite of your mom, right? So you saw that. So interesting. And I noticed that we can use crying or anything. We can use so many emotions as manipulation tools. And I've noticed, like my own little coach therapist, I'm like, Joanna, you are so using this cry right now to get what you want. And that takes a lot, like, oh, okay, Joanna, I see it. And really discovering, I'm like, oh no, this is for real. So when I was opening those floodgates, like I was saying, I was noticing when I was using it as a tool, it was like the last resort, and I'm throwing a tantrum and I'm going to cry here to get his attention. And it was with men. I'm going to cry. We're going to break up, whatever. I'm going to cry here. Now I know that I could feel the difference right away. And I'm like, oh, this is such manipulation, Joanna. Okay, you really do not choose to cry. But when I really cry, it feels like such a release. And then I feel happy afterwards. I literally feel like a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum. And I'm like, and everybody around is like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so much better. So yeah, I just needed to literally explode. And when I say literally, I mean explode. I F-bombed this, 4 million F-bombs. And I'm like a little 2-year-old in a room throwing a tantrum. I'm like, I feel so much better. Let's go. Yeah. So I'm very passionate about that, or curious about that with especially with women, and having these conversations about the crying. Because I read an article, Maria, that people that do cry more often live longer. I don't remember the statistics, but because, you're holding it in, and, it can become and things like that. So I was like, oh, that is very interesting. Yeah. And
I could see that. I could definitely see that, because it's like in our bodies, we hold this energy in our bodies. So I could definitely see it. Joe, do you think that how you caught yourself and you're like, I'm using this as like a manipulation or something like that? Where do you think that comes from? I'm curious. Like that behavior.
The awareness that I'm getting is that I was using everything at that moment, every tool. Okay, I'm going to use cursing. Okay, that didn't work. I'm going to use storming out. That didn't work. Okay, I'm going to use breaking up. That tool didn't work. Like I'm using every card. And then I would use it as like my warrior tool belt. Crying was a tool. It wasn't chosen out of like a true emotion. It wasn't true for me.
It's so interesting that you even you had the awareness of that. Wow.
Yeah. And so I wonder if more women know that, but maybe unconsciously are doing that. They're using the crying. So then that's why they don't want to cry. Like kind of how you saw your mom. I just wonder, if we can go really deep and go, what the heck is that? And I could feel it real quick, Maria. Oh, this is such a BS cry right now, Joanna. You were so full of it. Okay, got it. Yeah, and then just laugh. Yeah. Wait, I want to go back to the safe part, like when we feel safe. And I know when I don't feel safe, I want to run, or I cry, or I get angry. It could be a gazillion different emotions, and pretty much it's like, I don't feel safe here. So let's talk about that, because even with a partner or work, like with work, when I don't feel safe, I choose things that are not as expansive for my life. And how many other things that I choose because I don't feel safe. And safety is very important to me. So I want to talk about that. How about safety for you?
Yeah, I like you, it's very important to me. the thing with me is my like inner child, my child, like there's like this child, I want to say she's about 10. It's so,
yeah, 10. Okay, keep going.
so the 10-year-old and the adult, sometimes they like, they will like, the lives will like kind of intertwine. It's very interesting. And so that's why I said, when I don't feel safe sometimes, if I'm in an argument or whatever disagreement with like Jeff, it's like the inner child is the one that doesn't feel safe. And which is why the adult says, but Maria, no, here's the logic. And it's like they're taught, it's so interesting. So like the adult me has to, remind the younger me, the 10-year-old, like we're good, we're no longer in an unsafe place, right? And I know that comes from trauma and not feeling safe, not being safe at a very young age. And so I said to my therapist, like, am I bipolar? Like, why am I like doing this? But it's just like different parts of me, right? It's different parts of me that I'm honoring. And then also like as an adult, when I challenge myself, of course, it feels safer to do things that are not as challenging because I know what the outcome will be. So if I just continue to grow my brand the way I have, I know that I'll be good. Yeah. I'll be coasting. I will be coasting. And so when I decided to embark on doing this mastermind retreat in Turks and Caicos, girl, let me tell you, I just did not feel all that great. Because I felt massive imposter syndrome. I felt all these like sorts of I just felt uncomfortable. And I kept saying to myself, oh my gosh, it's so interesting. And like, why don't I feel safe? Well, I don't feel safe because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how people are going to, who's going to sign up? I don't know the outcome of something. Again, that not knowing the outcome, wanting the control comes from childhood, right? So it's all seeps in. So the safety it's not so much like a logical, practical thing. Like I'm safe, right? I'm not in harm's way. I'm not in like actual physical danger, but emotionally, if I feel like I don't know the outcome of something, that can feel really scary as to anyone. But for me, there's ego involved, right? Because I have a reputation that I built based off of my personality. I'm a go-getter. I get shit done. And so if I would go after things that I knew I could accomplish, I'm a very high achiever, so I know I could accomplish a lot. But so when I tapped into this other business endeavor, I had no idea what to expect. I was just really excited, and it came from a place of fun. But it certainly it challenged me in many, many ways. And I had a lot of that conversation going of, where is this resistance coming from, and all of that. And so I constantly do that with myself so that I don't stop what I'm doing.
Yes. Yeah, you talked about earlier about your body. And when I get the resistance, I go right into asking a question like, what is this? What information is here? Is this mine? Is it like, did I pick this up? Did I learn this? Like, what is getting really curious? Because before, let's go 15, whatever years ago, I would judge the heck out of myself. And like we said, suck it up. And it's fine. And that only lasted so long. And it kind of reminds me of when we say, quarter life crisis, midlife crisis is it really that? Or is it that we've been buying all this BS for so long and stuffing it down, and finally we're like, screw this. And I wonder, is that a midlife crisis or a quarter life crisis? It has nothing really to do with like, what am I doing with my life? I really think it's because we buy all these lies and we put this on, we take it. We're finally like, what is this? But you and I are having the conversation of let's do the deeper work, inner work. Maybe it's different for others because I'm watching all my girlfriends or just clients at the 35-year mark where everybody's like jump ship kind of energy. And is it the jump ship? I wonder of like, I've been doing this and I've been doing it like everybody said, and my body feels off. Like, it doesn't feel good, like physically doesn't feel good. Like you said, you feel contracted. I do. I feel like I'm in a little box, Maria, and it can't get any smaller. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, have I felt like that all my life? And I just didn't know it. I wasn't aware. I was asleep. I was a zombie. Zombies don't know they're zombies. They're walking around. They have no clue that they're the Walking Dead. I'm like, was I the Walking Dead? Wow. And not judging myself, because I would judge I would judge the judgment, and I would just like spiral in a circle. But the season, because I do want to talk about seasons in our lives right now. What season are you in, and giving the grace to ourselves, knowing that we're in different seasons? It's like my favorite book, The Four Agreements. And one of the agreements is, do your best, but your best is always different. Your best is going to be different in winter. In spring, right? It's going to be different halfway of a 2021 pandemic. I mean, so what season are you in, and how do you maneuver and dance through that?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say, like, having seasons is the best thing for me, and like feeling good about the fact that there will be different seasons, and they're not like the seasons we have in New York where you know what you're gonna get.
So clear.
Yeah, no, it's not like that where you're like, okay, clear. For me, it's just been it just depends on just where I am, right? And so I'm in the season of wanting to really care for myself deeper.
Yeah.
That's the season that I'm in. And I'm not in the season of like small talk with people. I'm in the season of being a professional knower. Just really,
professional knowledge. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, I am. And being really not apologizing for that. And I think I'm, kind of sounds cliche because we hear it all the time. Like as you get older, and you start to experience more things and you see the world, you start to see, if by choice, if you want to, you could start to see the world in a different way. And I think I'm just really starting to understand that our time here is borrowed, and I want to make the most out of it. And I want to be able to live be present, Joe, like not just be like, all right, I'm here in an interview with Joanne and I'm going to like hit my cues and I'm going to, I want to have a present conversation. And you're like, what do you want to like promote? I'm like, I don't fucking know what I want to promote. I just want to be present with you, and someone would say like, my business, well, no, not my business coach, but like maybe someone else would probably say like, no, you have to like have your call to action in your stuff. And I'm like, I just don't, that's just not it's not the season I'm in. Just not the season I'm in. And so I'm really, I feel like so much happier to be free of like this idea of how I think I should run, I think I should run my life, how I should present myself, how I should run my business. And because I realize like ultimately we're all just trying to figure it out as we go. And life is going to throw wrenches our way. And, if I'm not okay to know how to like handle that, then everything is just going to, it's going to be harder to like manage all the other things. So I think I'm in a season of like growing and learning and being okay with not always being so busy. I'm really good, Joe, at finding things to do and packing my schedule. Mm-hmm. But I think for the last 6 months, I've been really good at saying no to interviews and the truth is, it's as simple as this. I get drained. I feel like so drained. And so one would say, well, you got to hustle. You got to keep going. You got to put yourself out there. You got to keep growing your brand. And I think I'm like, well, if I preserve my energy, I don't think I have to do so much. Mm-hmm. I will be more effective and impactful if I am present and energized and I stay true to myself, because I'll have the clarity for the words that I want to deliver that will fall on the right people's hearts. And I think that will, take me on the path of just alignment and happiness.
I'm so appreciative for this conversation because, gosh, I don't want to compare it, but this conversation that you and I are having, it's like, wow, so different than we had a year ago. And I appreciate you saying yes to this chat. And for me, I always say yes to whatever is fun. Like if it feels fun and my body lights up, I'm like, oh, my
Mhm.
body's like a little puppy. Like, yes, yes, yes. It's like, no, no,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm busy or whatever it is. Like, it just doesn't feel fun. And I'm like, I do
Mhm.
stuff that feels fun and
Mhm.
expansive. And yeah, I'm in the same season, very similar. And I've been discovering, Maria, that I don't even want to show up on social media anymore unless it's
Oh,
fun, you
I'm
know?
so there with you. Oh, you have no idea. And I'm like known to like be on
Yeah.
there and to yeah, I'm right there with you. So you know what I did though? I just like created systems in my business so that I'm not the one that's just what I did. I'm
Girl,
just, you know, so
that's the
I'm there.
download I got. Yep.
I'm
I'm
there.
here, but yeah, I'm
Uh-uh.
taking a bath right now or whatever, and my girl's doing
Yeah.
it.
And I'm not one to automate stuff, Joe. So like someone would say, "Oh, you could just like have it automated." I'm not I for whatever reason, automation doesn't work for me because I feel extremely disconnected from my tribe.
Yep.
So that doesn't work for me. But and I realized, you know what, Maria, like it's okay if automation doesn't work for you. You know, everyone says, you know, save your time, like you're gonna cut your time in half. You shouldn't be on Instagram. Automate, automate. I don't feel good when I automate. I don't fucking know if I want to put that next. I don't know how I'm gonna feel next week. I don't know if I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're not the one talking. I'm like, I know I'm not the one spending time, but this is my tribe. And it's like an intuitive thing, right? And maybe that's not work. That's not like so smart. And like, it's going to be harder to scale if you think you have to, you know, but I don't care. It's about how I feel. Like if I could, you know, and so I have other systems in place that are not the automation system, and learning what works for me has helped me. Cause I tried the automation and I didn't like it. What was that? I was like seeing it, like I would like look, right? Like, oh, what went up? I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't like that. I would literally take stuff down because I'm like, I just don't feel like that's what I want to talk about today.
I
I don't want
love
to. I
that.
don't want to reply.
Yeah.
Like Joe, I don't want to reply to a post about like how to find your love, like your how to manifest your like love, and I'm like not in that space. And someone's like, oh my god, thank you so much, Maria. I have a question about love, and I'm like not in that space.
Mhm.
Like I'm not gonna fake. I'm not gonna fake it. So it's better for me to like create different systems in my business that work for me and they're very specific to me, but it works. Feels true to me.
I love that you brought that up, Maria, because very similar to fitness and business, like I'm really in this. Some people resonate with me with fitness because that's the way I teach fitness. They're like, what do I eat? I'm like, what do you want to eat?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. Like, how can you plan your meals when you don't know what your body will require tomorrow? Maybe your body requires some salt. I mean, who knows? There could be a gazillion different things. And just tapping in and listening and communing with you and your body and your business, etc. And I'm like, my business is my best friend. And if I don't, it's like telling my best friend what to do. So if I automate it too much or whatever works for me. And I love how you said whatever works. And when I coach other business owners, they want all the answers. And I'm like, you have the answers. I don't have the answers for you. So what works for you? What do you want to do with your business? I will help you. I love how you said that because that a lot can go into that record playing of like, oh, they said I'm supposed to do it like this and I'm supposed to do it like that. I don't want to do it like that. What works?
Joe, you know what I want to say? I think if there's a skill to master in life that's going to help you so much in business and in any, like in life, is the ability to discern what works for you.
Yep.
I think that because if you just think that by you picking up that number one times bestseller, right? Because you know that person built their business and they have this incredible successful business, and you pick up the book and you're like, cool, then I should be doing this, and then you try to like implement that, but it doesn't work, then you're going to set yourself up for failure because you think that something's wrong with you, when really you should have picked up the book of how to discern you know what is right for you, what feels good for you. Like that is what,
That's
right?
happiness.
You're,
Yeah.
you're
That's
going to
true for me.
continue to, you know what I mean? Like you're going to continue to try to like, what is it they say? People try to like fit like a square peg into a round hole, right? And that's what it is. You're picking up, people pick up all these books or they try to emulate a certain person's because they want their success. But what they don't realize is that they work very differently. They have a different history. They have a different past. They have a different brain outlook, chemistry, and you can't expect to take someone else's blueprint and try to place it onto your blueprint, right? You have different, what's that called?
Fingerprint.
We all have different fingerprints, right? So it's like you can't think that we're all like a perfect match, right? So the ability to discern what works for you and to be confident in that your way will work, right? And that's gonna be okay.
Yeah, that is the title of the show. And last night I was just talking to my partner, and we we're talking about, because he asked me a question like, "What do you think about this? This happened in my life, right?" And I come back, I asked him, I go, "Well, what's true for you? What's true for you?" I can't give you advice, quote unquote. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like, what is it? And then he facilitated himself. Like he's like, "Oh, okay, I know what to do now." Where it was completely different. And I guess he wanted me to align or say, "Yes, you should do what you were thinking you should do." And it was actually completely different.
Wow.
He's like, "Oh, what's true for me is that I really don't care." He's like, "Oh, but I'm thinking I should care about this scenario. I should care." Like, "Is it true for you to care?" And he goes, "No." Yeah. So
Joe, I commend you. I want to just say I commend you for like not like for not like stroking your ego at that point, because you could have just told him what he wanted to hear, one, or you could have tried to coach him, right? And say these like really slick words, which I've done many times, right? It's like, Jeff is not your client. What do you, like, why are you trying to practice on him? Like,
oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not. Yes, girl. Superiority over here. Like, let me coach you. Okay, keep going.
So no, I think that's amazing. That's amazing that you like. It's a reminder for me too, because Jeff asked me, like we bounce a lot of things off of each other, and we're each other's sounding board. And so many times, I swear to you, I'm not even kidding. So many times, I'm like, good, this is a good moment for me to like show what I got, and like I'll have like this. Can I curse here? I don't know if I can. Can I?
Go ahead. Put the little E. Go for it.
Okay. So I get like BDE, which is big dick energy. And so like, it's so great. Yeah. It's
write that down. Yeah.
When I have
that, I wear it right here.
Penis on my 100%. And oh my gosh, I'm all in. And so like, if he comes to me and I have like my, he's like, "Hey, I was just thinking, like, what do you think I should do?" I'm like, "Well, first off, for your branding, I think you need," he's like, "What?" I just wanted to he just I had a simple question, and I'm over here like giving him something I just worked with a client on, and now I just wanted to like regurgitate it and like hear myself speak.
Yeah.
So I commend you, and that's a reminder for me to just ask. I love that approach, and I love how when you came on to speak in my tribe, you said something that was really powerful. It stayed with the women as well, and you said anytime like you were feeling something, you're like, "Wait, is this mine?" And so I think the power is in the questions that we ask ourselves, and then we ask other people, right? You didn't tell him what you thought he needed to hear. You asked a question that was going to genuinely help him from a place of inspiration and not like ego driven. I know the answer.
Is this mine? I love that question. Oh, I'm so glad that resonated with you and your tribe. How cool is that?
Yeah,
Maria,
they love that.
Oh, yeah, they were great women. Yeah, this was such a contribution to me. I already feel more expansive today because I woke up a little bit, a lot, contracted. I hope everybody listening as well feels more expansive, a little bit lighter, a dimmer switch, even if it's a little. Sometimes, Maria, I'm like, we're not on and off switches. I go, I'm a dimmer switch. I got dimmer, right? And sometimes we feel like we have to be on and off. So this was such a raise up in my dimmer switch. And what is your Instagram so everybody can follow you, or maybe if they want to communicate with you when you're in a different season?
I always welcome people on IG. I love the love. The love is really nice, and it's at Manifesting Ninja. And so I usually I'll reply there. I really like to jam out. I have a lot of cool resources on there. I like to give a ton of free stuff, and fully. I share all the seasons on my stories. I'm very like I just got out of therapy. My therapist is like, do you want to like just give yourself some time? Boundaries, Maria. Like, but it's, but yeah, that's a good place for me.
Yeah. And you shared your mantras with me, and I recorded them and I listened to them on a loop as I sleep. Love it. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. There's I got some good free stuff on my website as well, manifestingninja.com. So
manifestingninja.com.
Yes. Free stuff, some cool stuff.
Maria, I would definitely love to do a part 2. We got to check in, and then even talk more about the manifestation too.
Yeah, let's see what season you'll catch me in on that next talk. But I'm gonna show up as wherever you find me in that season. So that's on you.
I love it. Thank you, hon. I appreciate and adore you. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And please screenshot this episode and tag both of us on Instagram. And we would be so incredibly grateful. Love you all. See you next time.